Hey guys, and welcome back to Mad About Skin. In today's video, we are talking hyperpigmentation. Dark spots, discoloration, hyperpigmentation is one of the key things that people call out as being their major skin concern. It's something that I've suffered with for years, and hyperpigmentation can really zap your skin confidence and really impact the way that we feel about our own skin and the way we present it to the world. I want to share with you in this video my own hyperpigmentation journey, but more than just that, I want to go into some of the hints, tips, hacks, and products that have really helped me get to grips with my own hyperpigmentation, which could be great for your own skincare routine. So sit back, relax, and let's talk hyperpigmentation. Now, before we get into all of this, I want to keep this video as simple as possible. I watched so many hyperpigmentation videos when I was looking to tackle it in my own skin, and they always end up bamboozling you with science. They go really into the depths of what is hyperpigmentation, how it's caused, the pathways in the skin, and all of that. And whilst that's super useful, I think when you're just looking for the solutions and maybe not the whole background to it, it can feel a little bit overwhelming. I'm going to link below in the description box some of my favourite dermatologists that talk in more detail about how hyperpigmentation is created and how it impacts the skin. So definitely check those out if you do want a little bit more detail. And while you're down there, don't forget to click the like button because honestly it really supports me and the channel and I would love you forever. But should we start with my own hyperpigmentation journey? Well, hyperpigmentation is the pooling of melanin, the pigment that gives our skin its coloration, in uneven distribution across the skin. It can pool in certain areas to create dark spots, or it can pool in multiple areas to give an overall discoloration to the skin. There are so many things that can impact hyperpigmentation, its prevalence in our skin, but for me it was all down to my acne. As soon as I got a breakout or a blemish, once it had faded, the scar, the pigment, the mark that was left behind took months and months and months to fade. It's all unique to our individual skin type. I think just about everyone will experience hyperpigmentation at some point in their skincare journey, but some people are more prone to it than others. Traditionally deeper, darker and richer skin tones that have more melanin naturally in the skin will be more prone to hyperpigmentation, and there are a whole host of things that can cause it. Mine was led by my acne, which even in my mid-30s as an adult acne sufferer, I still suffer with hyperpigmentation linked to that. But it can also be sun damage, it can be hormonal related to pregnancy, breastfeeding, menopause, or just changes to the hormonal structure of the body. It can also be as a result of trauma to the skin, so for picking, zits, or maybe scratches or scars on the skin, which once the mark actually fades, it does leave some discoloration behind. But there are so many things that we can do to help our hyperpigmentation journey and win back that skin confidence. I let my hyperpigmentation eat away at my self-confidence for so long. I used to cover it in thick layers of concealer, and I would honestly never have shown my naked skin to the world because I was really embarrassed about it. I felt it aged my skin. I think thought people were judging me for not looking after my skin well enough, and that, these things were easy to fix. It was just me that hadn't got a grip to it. And honestly, I want to dispel that myth, because wherever you are on your own hyperpigmentation journey, you should never be ashamed or embarrassed about your skin or your hyperpigmentation, because it's all part of what makes us unique. And I kind of wish I owned it a little bit more back then. We're less self-conscious, but I think, as we all age, as we all mature, we kind of get to terms with what really matters in life. And honestly, my hyperpigmentation is just a part of me, and I use things to keep it in check and minimize it, but I'm not going to stress over the fact that I still have some present in the skin. It's just part of what makes me unique, and I kind of wish I grasped that back then. So, shall we cut the waffle and actually delve into the hints, tips and hacks I wish I'd known when I started my own hyperpigmentation journey? Well, first and foremost, I wish I knew the key thing when it comes to tackling and preventing hyperpigmentation is understanding what causes it in the first place. Like I said, there's so many different things that can cause hyperpigmentation, and really working out what the trigger for you is crucially important, because that's going to affect the way that you treat it. Hyperpigmentation is something that we can treat, but the best thing to do is prevent it from occurring in the first place or minimize the prevalence of it. For me, it was acne related, and so getting to grips with my acne, self-care and skincare routine was super important, because by minimizing the total number of breakouts I had meant that it was easier to treat the hyperpigmentation that followed. I long ago gave up on the idea of being completely acne free. I'm still in my mid-30s and suffering with adult acne, but I did get to grips with my overall acne skincare routine and minimize the total number of breakouts. This makes treating the hyperpigmentation as a result of them so much simpler. So instead of just targeting down first and foremost on the hyperpigmentation itself, think about what causes it and what you can do to eradicate those causes, because that'll minimize the total amount of treatment that you have to do on the hyperpigmentation itself. A really great fix for me if your hyperpigmentation is acne related is to use sulfur in your skincare routine. I use this, which is the Sunday Riley Saturn sulfur mask. I'll leave a link to it below if you want to explore it in more detail. But sulfur is fantastic because scientific studies have proven that it will minimize the total amount of hyperpigmentation linked to a specific zit. I use this as a spot treatment when I do get one of those those larger zits that's likely to scar a mark. And honestly, I noticed the amount of pigment left behind is vastly reduced as to when I don't use sulfur. It's because it's calming, it's soothing, and it also minimizes the total heal time of the zit. The sooner it heals, the less likely it is to mark. So definitely bear that in mind. But whatever the trigger of your hyperpigmentation, work out what causes it and solve that problem first. Minimize the total amount of occurrence, and it'll make it so much easier to treat the problem. Now, the second thing I want to call out is that you might just have to be a little bit patient when it comes to seeing the results from the treatments that you use. In terms of hyperpigmentation, it is one of the most difficult things to treat in the skin, and because the pigment sits at multiple levels in the skin, it can take a long time to actually correct it. This is because the cellular turnover rate in the skin is roughly around 28 days. That means our skin renews itself, that top layer is removed, revealing gorgeous fresh skin beneath once every 28 days. That's the minimum amount of time it's going to take to tackle hyperpigmentation. In reality, it's going to take much longer than that, and I think I wanted really quick results, which is why I never gave the products I used the long enough time to actually see them. I switched in and out too frequently, and I never really got the true results. It was only when I actually committed to a set of products and treatments that really I started to see those long-term results. But for me, it took around 3 to 4 months to start seeing them, and I think that's a realistic timeline. So I just say to everyone, brace yourselves for being in this for the long haul rather than seeing those quick wins. That's okay. We just need to set ourselves up for success, not kind of resign ourselves to failure. So readjust the mindset before you start. Third and foremost, I think you need to employ multiple treatments for hyperpigmentation. I'm going to come on to my absolute favorite ones in a minute, but I think we all reach for one product, one serum that's going to tackle our hyperpigmentation, when in reality, so many actives can have a beneficial impact on the rate of pigment in the skin, can help to even out the distribution of the pigment. And I think it's really important that we mix multiple actives to really achieve the maximum results. I don't think you're going to be able to achieve the look that you're going for in terms of your hyperpigmentation using just one active ingredient. I think you need to combine them, and I'm going to come on to some of my favorites now that hopefully will give you some great treatment options for your own skincare routine. Now, I know I'm going to sound like a broken record, but the first fabulous active I want to call out for your hyperpigmentation treatment is azelaic acid. Azelaic acid is one of my favorite products to mention on this channel. Honestly, I fangirl about it so often, but that's because I think there's a place for it in everyone's skincare routine. Azelaic acid is fantastic for treating hyperpigmentation because it works in two different ways. One of the key triggers for hyperpigmenting in the skin and that excess production of melanin is stress or inflammation to the skin. The melanin production is actually the skin's natural defenses against external aggressors and trauma on the skin. So if you can keep everything in harmony, minimize inflammation, redness, and sensitivity, then you're less likely to see the skin go into hyper overdrive when it comes to creating that pigment. Azelaic acid will calm, soothe, de-stress the skin, and so I think it's a really powerful ingredient to have. It also helps to impact the total amount of pigment being produced in the skin. So it will actually dial back the melanocytes, which are the ones that create the pigment, the melanin in the skin. So it will help over time to reduce the total amount of pigment produced, which means as our skin naturally turns over and removes the pigment that's built up, it's not being replaced in the same quantities. Two of my absolute ride or die favorites when it comes to azelaic acid are these. This is the A Pad by Geek and Gorgeous, which is a derivative, so amazing if you have sensitive or redness prone skin. This will give you all the benefits, but it'll minimize any prickling on a sensitivity when you first introduce the product. I love this. This is so good, and honestly, like a great start to azelaic acid for anyone. I'm also going to call out the higher strength Lumizalia serum by Face Theory, which is another one of my absolute favorites. If you're used to using azelaic acid and want a higher strength option, this honestly is the best because it's also got O in here, which will calm and soothe beyond just the soothing power of the azelaic acid itself. These two, whichever you pick, go for your skin type and how much sensitivity you have, but whichever you pick will be a great treatment for your hyperpigmentation. Secondly, I'm going to call out Tranexamic acid. I'm such a fan of Tranexamic acid. I actually did it in a separate video, which I'll leave a link to up there. Worth checking out if you want to know how it works, the mechanism of action, and some of my absolute favorite products. Tranexamic acid has to be used for full efficacy alongside azelaic acid. The two are like best friends when it comes to hyperpigmentation. You often see them formulated together in formulas specifically tackling dark spots and discoloration in the skin, but these two are like best friends. Tranexamic acid works in a similar way to azelaic acid in that it will dial back the total rate of pigment production in the skin, which again means as we're eradicating that excess pigment, we're not replacing it in the same quantity, meaning you just get an all over evening out of the complexion. Tranexamic acid is also super gentle, which means it's applicable for most skin types. And one of my absolute favorites is the Inculist Tranexamic acid. This is a fabulous concentration which will deliver great results salts alongside your azelaic acid to just help to tackle that hyperpigmentation. You could also reach for the Face Theory Extra Glow Serum, which is another great higher strength tranexamic acid to deliver great benefits, and either of these will pair beautifully with whatever azelaic acid you choose to use alongside it. Finally, I'm going to call out licorice root. Now, it's not often that I call out natural botanicals on this channel because whilst there are some great benefits, I think sometimes the benefits of them can be a little bit overhyped. This isn't the case when it comes to licorice root, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous nature's answer to excess pigment. This will help, again, dial back the rate of pigment production in the skin, but it will also help to impact the distribution of that pigment, evening it all out and giving an all-over more balanced look to the complexion. Licorice root you'll often see formulated alongside other ingredients and other actives in serums, which is fantastic, but definitely keep a keen eye out for licorice root because it's a great way of just dialing up the intensity of your hyperpigmentation treatment without risking any increased sensitivity or irritation. I think if you can use azelaic acid, tranexamic acid, and of course licorice root all in the same routine, you will get the maximum efficacy from them and the maximum benefit for your own hyperpigmentation journey. And honestly, I wish I'd known this really early on in my own journey because it would have made the process so much simpler. Finally, I want to give an honourable mention to those calming and soothing serums. I spoke earlier when I talked about azelaic acid about one of the key triggers to hyperpigmentation being inflammation and sensitivity in the skin. We want to keep everything in sync, everything calm and soothed, and that way you'll produce less pigment as a reaction to those external aggressors. So I think it's really important if you suffer with hyperpigmentation to have a calming and soothing serum in your routine to just reset everything and calm it. I love oat, as I referenced earlier. I think that's fantastic. I also love Centella Asiatica, which is a calming and soothing botanical. Aloe vera can be a really great option as well. There's so many out there. My current holy grail and the one that I'm using for my own hyperpigmentation journey is this. This is the Stress Less Serum by Geek and Gorgeous, which is a beta-glucan, which is oat derivative based serum to just calm and soothe everything. I use this at the end of my skincare routine to just soothe everything down, reset everything, and just get my skin ready to fight for me for the day. I would totally recommend this. It works well with moisturizers. You can use SPF on top of it. It's just a really great serum to calm and soothe everything. Because if you remember, if everything's calm, if everything's in harmony in the skin, you're less likely to suffer from hyperpigmentation after a trauma. So it's a really great thing to just include as a day-to-day preventative step. So, there you have it, guys. My ultimate guide to hyperpigmentation, my own journey, and of course, some of the things I wish I'd known back then when it comes to tackling hyperpigmentation. I'd love to know what your absolute favourite treatment products are. What are the active ingredients you swear by? So sound off in the comments section below. And while you're down there, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. Wherever you are in the world, guys, stay safe, stay well, and love your skin. Take care. Bye.